what a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patreon, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon. So a massive shout out of appreciation to Abraham Mohammed, Adam, Adrian Quintana, Alistair Main, Blue Ridge Ranger, Burned Fat Till My Stomach Is As Flat As the Earth, Chow Yun Cat, Dank, Dave Rakia Gafford, David Robinson, David Wayne Foster, Daz Studio 68, Edwin Johnson, Owen Jennisons, Felix Hung, Fireball X, God Rockin', Henrik 86, Joshua Balsimo, Kirsten Smith, Liam Nedrick, Life is Short, Maria Neelands, Matt, Missouri Bear, Nagara, Nathan Thompson, Naibai, Qatar Craig, Rene, Sally Ballis, Silver Umbrella, Skeptic 936, Texas Mike, theflatearthchannel.com, The Real Gabster, Tina Baker, Tom Hawkins, Unbelievable Productions, and Windrider. So a massive shout out of appreciation to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now we are joined by a few people in both Discord and G Plus panels, so I'll raise the mic on them and you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show.
They've been around for a while, sure do know how to cook, don't they?
Yeah, even back home where I come from a village that was a mixture of German, Hungarian, Yugoslavian, and Romanian. I mean, foods mixed into one, and like the best of the best were on top, were the most popular.
Yeah, mine is Armenian and Persian, and Italian and French mixed.
Sounds nice. I like Italian and French too. Italians make some good stuff too.
Oh yeah.
Is pizza even considered Italian? But other than that, I know lasagna is, and I love lasagna.
I think the Italians get credit for it from many places, but I do believe I heard it was somewhere else that came up with it. Not certain though.
Yeah, it sounds like, I don't know, it seems like it came from somewhere else or something.
Yeah, I can't remember the story, but I did hear it once, and it was kind of like, I always thought it was Italian. You know, that's the response I had.
Yeah, I seen your episode last time too, and it was a shout out to Paul you did, and some others. One from Discord.
The subscribers recipe list.
Yeah, I guess that's what it was, and I recognize the one person from Discord.
Yeah, the two from Emma's channel and Paul, of course.
I don't think I recognize the third person.
That's from Discord too.
Hey,
buddy.
Are we recording now, Nathan?
Assume that we are.
He doesn't always do it this early. Oh no, we're not early, are we? He will be here.
Yeah, Righteous asked the same question.
Hello.
Good morning.
I'm sorry I've not been around to take your calls recently, Anthony. I was just busy doing videos, and if I take a call, it screws up the editing process, that's all.
I haven't called you.
You what?
I haven't called you. What are you talking about?
You called me yesterday.
Yeah,
you did.
I don't remember what that was about now, Nathan. You forgiven? It was important at the time.
Sure. Well, you never know. It might not have been, but...
Well, you're being called out on it now.
Speaking of getting called out, have you watched my latest video, Nathan?
I have.
Go on. Go on.
What? I've watched it. What do you want?
Oh, there sounded like there was a butt there.
No but.
Okay. So this all goes back to Ranty's voice changer hangout where he had that Darth Vader bloke on from Blackpool that claimed to be a Mason. In that hangout, he claimed that the infection rate would be 83% and the mortality rate would be 17%. And obviously those figures are massively wrong. But Ranty wants the death figure to be nearer to that 17% so that he can claim he was right. So he's deliberately miscalculated, or maybe not deliberately, probably innocently, but got it wrong anyway. The mortality rate is defined. You divide the number of deaths by the pool of people that are infected. That is the definition. You've got the survival or the recovery rate, and you've got the death rate. You just divide the number by the pool. So the recovered number divided by the pool of infected, or the death rate, the deaths divided by the pool of people that are infected. And that gives you your percentage. Now, your percentage has got to reach 5% for your death figure, because if it doesn't, statistically speaking, it's accepted that it can be explained by chance alone. No virus is needed. So people die by chance anyway. So if it doesn't go beyond 5%, it's not statistically significant. Now, if it does go beyond 5%, it just means that it's not down to chance alone. It means that there's something else going on, in which case we know that there's a virus or there's a killer bug or whatever it is that's going on. But the point is, if it's below 5%, chance alone can explain it completely, which is the reason why it's got to breach 5%. But because Ranty needs it to be nearer to 17%, he's miscalculated the maths. But the best thing, this is where it gets interesting. Fight the Flat Earthers agreed with him, yet neither of them have studied statistical research. Yet I have. So I know about this, right? So Fight the Flat Earth and Ranty are on the same page. So I said, let's see if Sean Hufford agrees with you, Fight the Flat Earth. Sean Hufford's got involved, and he agrees with Fight the Flat Earth. So it's 3v1. But all three of them are wrong because it's defined and we know how to do the maths. It's not difficult, right? So I've had to go to the Rumpus. Now, we all know Rumpus has got Pro S in maths and he loves the maths. And I know that he studied it at A-level. He's told me. I asked him. And if he studied at A-level, it's on the curriculum. Statistical analysis is on the curriculum. Specifically, this point is on the curriculum. He has studied it. He knows the answer. And I've asked him to address it. And he initially said, yeah. But then he's basically trying to say, oh, it's not his area of expertise. He did study it, but he doesn't really understand it. And I'm like, yeah, you're backing off because you don't want to correct three of your own side, do you? And he's definitely backing away. But the beauty is, because Ranty's ended up being involved in this, these three are all linked to each other because they're all bald earthers. But Ranty's on linked to it because it all started from him. But because Fight the Flat Earth sided with Ranty, because he just doesn't like me, and Sean sided with Fight the Flat Earth just because he doesn't like me, I've had to keep escalating it. And now basically Rumpus is forced to either, because he's supposed to be mathematically pro-esful, he's supposed to be honest. And if he is honest, and I know he studied it, he has to agree with me because it's defined and he knows how to do the maths. So the issue now is really how honest is Rumpus. Now, I always credit him to be relatively honest when it comes to the maths, not necessarily the interpretation or the arguments to how you construct the maths, but when it comes to the maths itself, if it's simple, and this is, then he has to side with me. But is he going to do it? And that's the $1 million question. So it's literally a litmus test for how honest Rumpus is. If he sides with me, he throws Ranty under the bus, he throws Fight the Flat Earth, and he throws Sean Hufford under the bus. But he's honest. But if he doesn't side with me, then he's overtly dishonest, and it's obvious by the definition that he's going to have to lie about to be able to demonstrate that I'm wrong. So I can't wait to see what Rumpus does. He's fucked. It's all because of Fight the Flat Earth and Sean and Ranty.
Yeah, I kind of switched off, I've got to be honest. Beyond you pointing out that Sean was audio guy and was whispering in people's ear with Soundly, so to speak.
Bollocks. You didn't switch off. Bollocks.
I did switch off. I've not switched the video off. I did actually watch the video, but it doesn't. This subject holds literally no interest.
It's only of interest to me because I happen to study it, and because Ranty's claiming the 17%. What he's trying to do is ease his way back into that 17%.
Please don't repeat it all. Please, I beg
All
you.
right, can I say something?
Sure.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen the last Glowbusters that was on yesterday?
Sorry, no.
The guest I was on was pretty interesting, and I'm not saying I agree with everything that was said on it, but there was some interesting information I never thought of or heard of about like viruses and how they work and stuff like that, and like how
What was the topic? Was it coronavirus?
it was coronavirus, and like 5G was there too, but it was mostly about disease and how disease works and how people get sick and how disease gets transferred, and if they get transferred, how they say, and basically how everything they say in the medical industry is just so much disinformation out there, right? Like the blind leading the blind. Like, I don't know. I just recommend.
What?
I recommend for folks to watch that and see what we can come up with, and it's worth further
Hold on a second.
investigation.
Hold on, Righteous. Who's making that racket? Is it you, Anthony?
Sorry. It was a hiccup.
But yeah, highly recommend it. I mean, again, I'm not saying I agree with everything, but it's like, it seems worth further investigation, and it just kind of makes you think, question things, basically, we say that.
It's someone else. Who's joined the call? Who's that white box that's making a load of noise through everything that Righteous says? Hello?
The name says Scott Logan.
Scott. Who's Scott? How the hell did he get in here?
I was going to ask you that.
Okay. That was weird.
Yeah, I don't know who he is.
Who the hell's Scott Logan, and how the hell did he get in here?
No idea.
Weird.
But yeah, interesting guest they had on. It was a female too, so she had interesting things to say.
It's not that I want to disagree with anything you said, Righteous, but it's pretty obvious. Here the flu comes and people get it, their immune system builds up to it. It's been going on for years. I mean, don't take your sick kids to your friend's house or you're going to infect them.
Yeah, but hold on. Some of the things he said, I could like testify myself. Like when I eat healthy, and I'm like very healthy, like exercise and eat organic and everything like that, I don't get sick. Even when I'm around sick people, like I had a roommate and brother one season, they were constantly getting sick. At worst, I would sneeze.
That's so obvious, though. You're strong. Your body's in a strong position. Your immune system is so strong. Yeah, but that's obvious knowledge. That's why they say make sure you have your vitamin C, make sure you have plenty of liquids, make sure you exercise, make sure that you're in tip-top shape, because then you can withstand these things better. That's been around forever. To make that a headline is, at least from my point of view, being 61 is a joke.
Basic common sense.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. Now we are joined by 10th Man, Righteous Force, Sleeping Warrior, Chocolate Saiyan, Arwin, and a whole bunch of people in Discord. So welcome one and all.
Good afternoon.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How's the weather over there? Is it as sunny too?
Absolutely
over
beautiful.
here?
Been out planting sunflowers.
Look at that.
Absolutely lovely. I just hustle a few people off mute in Discord and then I'll do the housekeeping questions. Do you want to show us your day? There you go. That's where it is. Exactly the same where I am. Always the same way. Arwin's weather is basically the same as mine. Pretty much always.
Do you have the cold wind too, by the way? The steady cold wind.
A little bit. Still lovely though.
Yeah, it is. Especially like behind the window. No? It's beautiful.
Behind the window? You mean outside?
What? No. No, I mean sitting behind the window in the sun. It's like full on heat. Very lovely.
Oh, I see what you mean. Inside, behind the... Yeah, I get you now. Yeah. Yeah, it is nice. It's nice inside, it's nice outside. Like I say, I was out planting sunflowers and...
Nice.
Very nice. Right. Any signs of a physical Earth curve edge, formerly known as the geometric horizon?
No.
The what? The geometric horizon?
Yeah, the geometric horizon?
Earth would have to be a sphere for that to be reality. And it's not reality, so Earth is not a sphere.
You mean the geometric thingamabob? Thingamajig?
Yeah, we can't really call...
Can't
You're
be a
right.
horizon.
No, it's a good point, Chocolate. You've been saying this for a few days now. You can't really call it a horizon because a horizon's the position where the sky appears to meet the ground. That's a horizon. Well, if the position that appears to meet the sky appears to meet the ground is some refracted or apparent, whatever they call it, position, i.e. it's not the geometric position, then the geometric position in their model isn't a horizon, it's just some X marked in a strange model that they believe in. It's not a horizon, that's the position where the sky appears to meet the ground. And if it isn't where the sky meets the ground, it's not a horizon, so it's the geometric thingamabob from their model.
Oh, why not just call it sphere edge? That's what it is, right?
Yeah, sphere edge. Yeah, edge. Correct, Darwin, yes. Where they draw their straight tangent to as they simultaneously tell us how not straight all the lines to everything is. Or are.
They have a straight tangent now?
It's a necessity. It's by definition what a tangent is.
Don't they change the meaning of words, though?
They try.
Exactly.
No, they just do what I call donkey dick geometry. That's what they do. Any signs at all of any Earth curvature?
Not from Tempe, Arizona.
No, but I'm wondering something. I'm wondering for like the normies out there that are very new to this flat Earth, or they hear it first time from you. What seems easier to convince them, talking about this horizon thing, or showing them pictures of the lunar lander?
No, I don't qualify it in those terms. I'm not trying to convince people. You just say it like it is. People can take it or leave it. How convincing something is kind of down to the individual, isn't it? For some of them,
And it depends on the angle of the argument. You know, bringing up the lunar lander is very good to help newcomers realize how unreliable this source for all these spaceball pictures is. Basically, that's what's that good for. But if they really want to know for themselves out there, that would be good to show them what the horizon really is and how the ballers have trying to trick everyone into believing it is a sphere edge. So it depends on the angle.
Beyond the second law of thermodynamics violation that is the sky vacuum, otherwise known as outer space, we don't tend to talk a great deal about things that are claimed to take place in that fake place called outer space. Obviously, if the sky was a vacuum, the gas we breathe would fill the space. It doesn't, therefore the sky is not a vacuum. Nevertheless, there are lots of stories that go along with that, which, like I say, typically don't get discussed. But as coincidence would have it, my wife and I were discussing exactly that yesterday. And I explained, given the very shady nature of the footage that is claimed to come from that second law of thermodynamics violation sky vacuum, it would only take about 3 generations to eradicate that from history. So we were talking about 1984 and the job that the main character, is it Winston's got. He's got the job of eradicating things from the public consciousness by way of removing things from the media. So an uncomfortable or awkward, detail in a newspaper headline about the 2 different continents that are at war with each other. When they change that, they need somebody to actually remove all of that information from the mainstream. Anyway, based on that idea, a guy with a memory hole as a metaphor, 3 generations from now, just as an idea, it could be the case that they start to phase out these very shady, very dodgy, very unconvincing moon landings from history. Therefore, when we're popping our clogs, dying, in, however many years' time, the generation that follows our death may never ever know about the moon landing. It might just get eradicated from the history books. Moreover, this is where it got interesting for me. If you imagine someone like Martin Liedtke, who goes through the old texts and the old books and looks at stuff and says, look how they used to be back in, here's an old Antiquitech technology, I wonder what it could be. Imagine somebody 3 generations from now going, they used to go to that light in the sky called the moon. They've been there. Look, I've found these bits of evidence. And everyone goes, oh, shut up, you crazy ball earther. Because by then the rhetoric's completely changed, and just
like in the movie Interstellar, basically. Remember?
Well, moreover, it's the way it gets phrased. It's like, oh, don't be so stupid about people going to the lights in the sky, you stupid heliocentrist. Because it's all been flipped around by then. You know what I mean? And then the nutters become the heliocentrists, believing that you can travel to the moon, and they're showing old documents saying, no, they did. They went there once. No, they didn't. Don't be stupid. Look, I've got this old document. Yeah, you stupid globehead conspiracy theorist. Get out of here.
Right, but it is kind of possible that if they choose to edit the history of the 20th century with the moon landings, that they could just later claim, no, that was just a movie. That was just an early movie for the futurism, and
exactly.
Just try to scrub it away like it actually was supposed to be a real event. It looked so fake anyway,
Well, that's what they get to by the second generation. So, while we're on our deathbeds, that generation in school might be told exactly that. In the interim stages where there's fading remnants of the old rhetoric still around, then you've got to justify it a little bit. So you say, oh, no, that's just an old movie. And then by the time the memory hole's been effective and everything's disappeared, you don't need to mention it ever again. And then some nutter like Martin comes along and says, look, I found this scrap of paper that says they went to that light in the sky. And everyone laughs and goes, don't be silly. No, they did. The government went there. It was true. It's a conspiracy.
Oh God, now I have a terrible realization. Like even a generation after that, they could literally just pull it out of the books and see, like, look, 100 years ago, our ancestors thought up this amazing plan of going to the moon, just like Jules Verne did a couple of 100 years before that. We should really try this now.
Also,
and they're going to do it all over again, like it never happened before.
It also might be the case that the
Jules Verne?
It might be the case that the Earth isn't flat. Maybe it's a sphere. Maybe that's how the rhetoric will be going in 3 generations.
Well, maybe by then people will have been so distracted that nobody really, nobody really cares, or they're tricked again. In the 60s, most people did know the Earth was flat. It happened anyway.
Says
you. Well, I heard.
This is all future talk. This is also.
That's not the case, Arwin. That's simply not the case. People might have known some small. Hold on, some small handful of people might have known in the 60s, but that would be no different to say 2000 and somewhere around the 2010 mark or prior. 2008 for the sake of argument. Yeah, there'd be people who knew the Earth was flat then. Math Powerland was one of them. But does that mean that there were hordes of people that knew the real truth about the nature of their reality? No, they're all just as brainwashed in the 60s as they are now.
Anyway, let's get to that when we get there.
Fair enough. Should we carry on with housekeeping?
When we're
rules?
all old and gray, we can warn the next generation. Yeah, we don't have much time, but you gotta listen. Back in the day, they tried to fool us with this moon landing. They're gonna try it again. You gotta be careful.
I like that you turned into a grizzled old prospector. Keep slaying heliocentric wizards. Much love, says Witsit Gets It. Yeah, good. More power to you, Witsit Gets It. You're doing a fine job, my friend. So yeah, if you're in this live chat, right click on Witsit Gets It super chat, go to his channel, subscribe today. Any more for any more?
Since he's a glowbuster, I
Yeah,
might as well mention.
shout out to Witsit. I was just on 24/7 with him, flat smacking. Witsit is pretty awesome. Shout out to you, brother.
Since he's a glowbuster, might as well plug that show they did last yesterday.
Go ahead.
That's all I'm gonna say about it. I already talked about it in the
I'll do a
pre-show.
better job than that. Come on, give it a proper plug.
Well, they had an interesting guest on, and she had some very interesting things to say about like viruses and stuff like that, and like our immune system and how things work, and all the misinformation that seems to be out there about how the medical industry and just stuff like that, I guess, in a broad stroke kind of way. Is that good?
Yeah, you didn't mention the name of the channel or where to find it or anything, but yeah, great.
Well, it's Glowbusters. They should be easy to find. I think most of us are subscribed to them anyways.
What's the title of the video?
It's like COVID. No, it's just like, hold on a second. Where is that? It's called the CV-5G connection. But they really don't talk about 5G. They mostly talk about some other really interesting stuff.
Cool, let's check it out. That's on Globebusters channel. And it's got 5G. What was the title again?
The CV-5G connection.
If someone's willing to pay me 5G, I'll talk about it.
5G. Okie doke. Any more for any more? Can
Donate
we move on?
5G to me right now.
Yeah, Arwen and I will do a duo show. That's 10G altogether.
Right, talking to G. Any scientific evidence of gravity?
Gee, I can't remember.
I wonder if
what-
there is any scientific evidence for gravity.
Seems
Tony?
good times for all. Did
Tony.
I think he's busy. Causing audio chaos on the
Sorry.
pre-show.
I was on mute. What was the question?
Any scientific
There is
evidence
any-
of gravity?
No, nothing. Just a little bit of maths.
I think the Tesla Roadster has an anti-gravity mechanism in it because last time I saw it, it was in the medium that doesn't exist.
Yeah, but you know it's real because it looks so fake.
well, Good Times for All has been doing some interesting stuff, trying to figure out what's going on with this. So you guys can check his channel. He has a weird spelled name too. Oh man, let me see if I can find it.
GUDSTIMS 4 number all.
No, you got it wrong. It's GUD.
That's what I said.
That's what he said.
That's what I said. GUD.
Look, no, stop both of you. Right. Let's get Zach's channel name right. It's Good Times for All, but it's spelled
How about
G-U...
How about I share it?
Oh, God. I just want to say his name clearly for those listening without being interrupted, please. GUDTIMS 4 ALL. That's the number 4. So GUDTIMS number 4 ALL. That's Good Times for All. Zachary Sabala. Excellent channel. You should all be subscribed. Subscribe today.
It's good Tims for all.
It is Good Tims, but that's not what it is.
Good morning, all.
Hey, Paul.
It's lead speak.
What's up, Paul?
Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
Yeah, it's over there. No distance to the sun. And ballers don't like it when I actually get to the nitty-gritty details of it. Like, you don't have any proof it is holographic, even though light and the holograms are physical, apparently. Apparently, how ironic. But yeah, no. No. We don't even know for certain what it is. It's just light coming from that direction, and we see these apparitions, these discs. Where it comes from, that's it. I don't know. I don't know anything more.
That's why for this argument, Nathan says it best. What is the sun?
I got loads of stick for that, you know. When I was interviewed by Vice, my answer to that question was, I don't know what the sun is. I don't know what the moon is. That was my answer. And I got loads of grief over it. Like, no, you must reify this straw man model and say it's 2,000 miles away. I'm like, I don't know what it is.
Right.
Just the honest answer, you don't know what it is. You don't. Nobody does.
Well, there is some data from that we can extrapolate from it, but yeah, to then draw elaborate conclusions based on just that data, that's where the difficulty comes in. That's where the presuppositions start to sneak in.
I remember it was like, I think it was American Dad or Family Guy, one or the other. They do it like a flashback scene where they become like a Stone Age family. And the news report comes from a stone that they've hollowed out, and the two news reporters literally sit in each people's house and do the report. But at the end of a news report, they say, up next, that big light in the sky. What is it, and how can we worship it?
Yeah. Wow.
Nice.
Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
Observe and declare. It's all calculable.
I miss Slick. Who's with me? Yay, I miss Slick too. Observe and declare.
I do.
Oh,
I do miss Slick too. You're talking about Slick James, right?
Yes, James Johnson.
Yeah, I missed him too.
Yeah, I do. Shout out to Slick.
Lads, yeah, exactly. Shout out to Slick James Johnson.
I'll tell you what's slick is your sunflower seeds, that sunflower plant that you planted. It's gonna track the sun.
They do. They do
west.
track the sun. That's not incorrect. Yeah, they follow the sun.
They do, don't they?
That's what they do. They follow the sun. Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
What a mouthful of presuppositions. Nope. Nothing beyond the CGI and old paintings in encyclopedias, school books.
I'm still hearing S waves and P waves out there. They're still holding on to that.
Who wants to field that? Anthony's probably the most concise at taking that crap to part.
What? Sorry, I wasn't listening. I was arguing with Rumpus. What was the taking apart bit?
P waves and S waves.
No, P waves and S waves. Yeah, the interpretation of squiggles on a graph have absolutely no connection whatsoever to do with the shape of the Earth. Yeah, you get squiggles on a graph, and you can plot them into a computer, and it can give you an interpretation of what you think that you're looking at, if you assume that you're based on a sphere. But these squiggles are notoriously unreliable, as was demonstrated with the Cola Super Deep Borehole, where seismology made 4 predictions, and all 4 of them were wrong. I mean, that's like more unreliable than the Rumpus. Rumpus makes claims and he doesn't get them all right, but he tells people he gets every single one of them right. Well, seismology got every single one of them wrong, yet they use seismology to claim that we live on a sphere and there's no other interpretation possible. Totally and utterly incorrect.
Any evidence that you can have gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container?
Well, some ballers think that they do, but every time they seem to demonstrate it, they always bring out a container of some kind to demonstrate it in. So, no, I don't think so.
Yeah, that's quite a crack, isn't it? It's a laugh.
All I hear all the time is gas has weight, and we know the problem with that, don't we?
What, the equivocation with it being like a I'll get it right this time. I had plenty of sleep. Being a liquid in terms of its fluid attribution. So they call it arbitrarily a fluid because when in hydrostatic equilibrium, they can qualify gas as being both uncompressible and static. And when they apply hydrostatic equilibrium, or extrapolate out from it more likely, they are assuming that gas behaves in that manner, i.e. uncompressible and static. So it doesn't apply to gas to give it weight. The simple fact is gas expands in all directions, and the way you qualify the amount of it, if you want to do so, is the amount of pressure, the force exerted on the walls of its container. That's how you qualify it with gas, not with weight. That's downward. Well, it's not just going downward, it's going upward. And if you only qualify the down bit, what about the up bit? The up bit would be what? A contrapositive of your downforce? Does that mean it's a net force of 0? Well, no, it's still got a qualifiable amount of something, and that's qualified with pressure.
But even if you call it a fluid, gas has got to have fluid dynamics. It's got to be under what for that to occur? Under what?
High pressure. It's got to be highly compressed to the point where you can't compress it any further.
Well,
So how do you have gas pressure? How do you have gas pressure without a container? We're back to square one again.
Yeah, exactly.
But they do love to think of gas as if it were like the ocean. It's like their next level ocean up there, and then the vacuum is kind of sort of like the air. So they basically, I think they really do just try to imagine every time when they imagine the gas up there and then the vacuum, they kind of do think of it as if it were the ocean and the atmosphere, even though it has no correlation whatsoever.
Yeah, they arbitrarily call it a fluid and then describe it as having liquid-like properties because they can qualify in a thought experiment gas behaving with liquid-like properties when they call it fluid, because when describing hydrostatic equilibrium, you can compress a gas to the point that it can't be compressed anymore and get it to have liquid-like behaviour. So therefore, a downward force, because when in hydrostatic equilibrium, you can qualify out a downward force and then arbitrarily apply that to something that's compressible when that's incompressible. It's a complete cluster screw. But they have to jump through all these hoops to get to the point where they can say, no, weight, that's what answers this problem. Air's got weight. No, it hasn't. It's got pressure. It expands in all directions to fill the available volume. And if the sky is a vacuum, it would expand to fill it. And we'd have no gas left.
Apparently, there's this new nonsense that they're starting to say with the universe is the container.
Oh, they finally got that part right. It's about one time. Yeah.
Right. So apparently, I mean that to me that does sound like some sort of a concession that you do require a container, because if you're saying, oh, you don't need gas, gas pressure doesn't require a container,
Right.
and then the first thing you say after that, well, the universe is a container. Oh, okay. So do we require a container then? Is that what you're saying?
No,
that might not be absolutely correct, obviously, because you can't verify that, but that sounds like a concession.
right, but maybe they're just moving on beyond that absolute ridiculous baseline assertion that the universe, if it would even be there and could be possible, that it would be a expanding vacuum, which is like so contradictory. It's absolutely insane. So maybe they're just figuring out, okay, well, maybe the universe is looping or just a certain size or whatever, and then then they have a technical container in their presuppositional conception.
Did they do the universe line before or after they said that the moon was in Earth's atmosphere?
I started hearing that after.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Good.
That's funny
Finding some
because
progress.
Heliocentric scientism is absolutely a religion. Absolutely a religion.
Could it agree more?
I was going to say that's funny because as I was growing up and following all the moon missions, they were talking about outer space and vacuums and now they're saying it's in the atmosphere. So I do remember the contrast.
I'm amazed more and more every day how much faith it requires to believe the heliocentric scientism ideas and theories.
Well, yeah. Well, with what's coming out in these days, yes. But even back in the past, when I still believed the globe, it wasn't that difficult because every time it would be like this. I would believe it, and I saw the pictures, and I saw shapes, spaceships in outer space, and transformers, and that's just so awesome. It had to be real because I wanted it to be real, and that, yeah. When I then was confronted with the technicals in school and all that, and just the flaws, it just became apparent to me, like, wow, they are so sloppy. They haven't perfected it, you know. They haven't discovered how it really should be. And I believed it back then. Now I'm just
But
playing
that's
it
just
like a
it. So
game.
many just want to believe, and they
Yeah,
want to be part of the, the crowd rather
no,
than
not
go
just no.
against the
They want to be
crowd.
part of the progress. They want to help build the truth from that vision angle. And so did I.
Mm.
It's like, wow, they are so incompetent. This could be done better. That was my attitude. It's like, why aren't you fixing this? So even though I knew it was kind of a machination, sort of, I just overlooked it.
Aren't you
So
offering?
weird.
Aren't you offering advice for them to technically make their argument better for a fee, Armin? I thought you were opening up a consulting business for ballers.
I made them an offer for 6 million, yes. But yeah, yeah. They're probably just
I think it
counting on
makes
me
them
being
feel
so
smart too.
passionate and impulsive that I'm just gonna spill all the secrets anyway. But they're not gonna pay me, I think.
Oh, and you said they think it makes them smart or something. I didn't quite hear you.
Yeah. I think it. I think that it helps them feel like they're smart as well.
Well, feel like they're smart, or are they just building on something that is intellectual and mechanical and technical and very elaborate? So working
Yeah,
on
and
that, thinking about it
that's what
is
they consider
stimulating.
smart.
It is like super high-tech Legos, you know? So it does kind of make you smart. On the other hand, it also does make you naive if you literally believe it's all real. So you're then very mechanically intelligent, but at the same time, complete fool. But yeah, that's what it's
Yeah.
like.
And
Any ballers in Discord?
one more housekeeping question. Any evidence the R value?
Oh, that was more housekeeping. R value. I don't know. I think we've already got a concession that at best we've disproven the radius of Earth. So, we already got concessions.
Yeah, it's game over. We know that, but it's nice to summarise these things with the housekeeping questions each day. You know, some crazy fool might think they can debunk one of these questions.
Well, the
It was
only baller
interesting,
here in Discord at the moment is Kosho. So
Because Kosho knows it's flat.
Well,
Are you
maybe-
sure that's Kosho?
Well, they were saying on the show or in the Discord, I think last week, that Alberini's measurements were accurate, mainly because he was so high up that there's less refraction. So maybe Kosher can explain.
What, less of the lines deviating from straight?
Right.
So not going to be doing geometry then either then. They've already declared the only way you get to see the geometric horizon is if the sky vacuum they claim outer space is actually sucked all the air out.
Yeah. How do they come back from that one?
You don't.
Kind of put your foot in your mouth with that.
You're never going to do geometry ever again. The globe geometry was debunked, and when we declared that you only need one black swan to disprove that all swans are white, that's proven out by the fact that the people who argued this tell us it's refracted. In other words, they are now declaring that it's not geometric, and that's what the black swans debunked. Global geometry. Now, people are like, oh, well, the black swan's dead. It's like, no. You don't appreciate the rhetoric's change. That change is because it's never going to go back to being geometric ever again. The notion that we've got nothing but a geometric horizon, an Earth curve edge obstruction, that notion is dead. You only need one to destroy it. And it has been destroyed to the point where even their side have to justify how non-geometric the horizon is now. You only need one black swan. The horizon's never going to be white swans, all horizons being geometric. That assumption's gone. Forever. It'll never return either.
Yeah, they were arguing that it's the Earth curve, geometric, that blocked the bottom of boats and buildings. Now, they're walking away from that.
Yeah. With a hand wave, we don't see the geometric horizon. That is the concession that destroys your global outlook. Your outlook being a geometric outlook, based on proving the physicality of Earth curve with that geometry. That's your ground-based proof for Earth's sphericity. And you haven't got it anymore. We don't see a geometric horizon. All right. Well, then we don't have geometry then. Bye-bye, globe. Bye-bye, geometry. But the fundies tell us how non-geometric it is. We don't see it. All right. Well, you're never going to be deriving it ever again. You're never going to utilise it ever again. You're never going to demand that we've got arbitrary 7/6 based on the physical radius value ever again. Your refraction's dead. Your geometry's dead. Your Earth curve's dead. Your globe religion's dead. It's completely untenable. It's the best argument ever.
They don't even realize the argument has made them change literally their arguments. It's like they almost haven't caught on to that yet. That now all of a sudden, post Black Swan, now the horizon's apparent. Really? Like hello, we've been telling you guys that shit for years. All of a sudden, y'all caught up.
Yeah.
And what made you guys catch up was the Black Swan, and now it's dead? Nah, it's your model that's dead. It's your radius that's dead. That's what happened.
And they start to sort of scoop up our arguments and throw them back at us like they're a defence. Well, it's optics. Yeah, optics, right?
Are you guys denying refraction? Like, really? You guys are denying your geometry. That's for certain.
I like it though, because like literally half of them don't realise they're doing it while they do it. They say it with such a smug grin, like, this is going to demolish your argument. It's not geometric, fool. You go, yeah, we know. Thanks.
Right.
I am curious, how long will it be before we can start presenting an alternative model?
I mean, an alternative model. The world's been mapped, right? And the military have access to those in very small chunks that they get divvied out depending on where they are. So the world's been mapped, we just don't get access to that. Now, are they going to give us access as a result of us exposing the fact that we're not on a spherical surface with globe geometry? Of course not. Whatever the rhetoric change will come in due course. It won't be for our benefit. Now, us understanding the nature of our own existence is a very personal thing, hence me saying half the time I don't care if I convince somebody either way. That's their personal existence. Far be it for me to jeopardise how people want to view the world. Now, I view the world how it is, flat. Take it or leave it. But as for finding a model, models are pseudoscience. They've been used to pollute our brains into what was originally used for philosophers to gain a better understanding of the world that they experience. And it was or I would hope it was assumed, that those philosophers didn't immediately reify these musings into their physical reality. They just took them as what they were, a way of looking at the world so you can gain a better understanding of potentially the stars and their movements. Well, if you're utilising a heliocentric model to do that, and you don't reify it, then that's a very useful tool. It's a very good model. But to reify it into existence and say you're standing on a sphere is where the problems begin. If you start to do that with a flat plane and putting a dome over it and little local lights and all the things that we've got already as a model, but just happen to have the map underneath correct, well, what about all the other ancillaries that go along with that model? When you're charged with explaining a certain aspect of it that you don't necessarily have any access whatsoever to prove out or justify, like the moon and sun, what are you going to do then? Make it up as you go along? But as for the map, the map's done. The ground that we know of is definitely well and truly accurately mapped out. Have we got a full, complete picture of that given to us? No. Will we ever? I have no idea. I'm not a cartographer. Do I care about getting one? Not necessarily. In terms of the places I want to travel, are they all well and truly worked out with basically roads either on the physical ground or through the sky or water? Yeah, they're all pretty much mapped out with roads. So you can get from A to B, regardless of what they tell you it's represented as on a sphere-shaped model that we don't live on. So it's kind of inconsequential to have a model as far as I'm concerned. The fact that we're non-stop challenged to give others one, I take as a tell. They can't bear to let go of an explanation for things. It's the difference between my saying, what a wonderful world we live in. We're in a world where you're allowed the mentality of a child again. The wonder of what things might be. And not having an answer to why the sky is blue or what the sun is far more exciting, in my view. But to those of you who are absolutely suckling on the teat of government and schooling for your answers, Wikipedia parroting muppets, as we deal with, they can't bear the idea of not having answers. So therefore they charge us with providing them with an answer when we're in no justifiable position to give them one in many instances. And our only position, as far as I can reconcile, is to point out where the current rhetoric is incorrect, where it doesn't make any sense, where it has absolutely no right to be called your reality. Now, does that mean I'm suddenly the arbiter of what reality actually is? No, it isn't. It's not actually that difficult to pull apart bullshit, to say where it's wrong. The problem becomes the bullshit that comes back with a just so story that's put in place just because you're asked for one. Well, if it's not 93 million miles away, how far is it? And then you're left with the position I was left in when asked that question by Vice. The answer is, I don't know. But that's not going to be very convincing to somebody who must have a replacement model. I don't care. All right. So what if I prove unequivocally that the nonsense they tell you about how far the sun is based on changing angles and sticking sticks in the ground and extrapolating out with Kepler's third law of interplanetary motion based on Venus being the same size as a presupposed Earth that's spherical, all that shite gets pointed out to you and you decide that no, well, it's still going to be 93 million miles away because you haven't got a better story to give me. Well, then you're an idiot. It's like, I don't need to give you a better story. Just because I haven't got one doesn't mean that the sun's 93 million miles away when you manipulate angles and apply Kepler's third law. It doesn't mean that. It's just a way of looking at it using maths. They're just twinkly lights in the sky. Venus is just a light. It's not a rock the same size as us. But if you want to use those figures and decide that that gives you a 93 million mile sun, then you've got to assume that that light is a rock the same size as a presupposition that we're standing on a sphere. That's a lot of assumptions, that none of which have been verified in any way, shape or form. So you can't accept that explanation anymore. Or you can demand I give you an alternative, because that'll help. No, it won't.
Well, that's the biggest mistake I think a lot of flat earthers make, is trying to propose a model that is untenable, that is unverifiable, unknowable almost.
Yeah, you don't know what you don't know. So if you don't know what the sun is, don't put it at 2,000 miles moving in a circle above a domed map of the azimuthal equidistant projection, because you don't know that that's what it is. So you've then got to explain why it's doing that in your model. Not why the sun's doing what it does, but why your little light in your model does what it does compared to a globe model, because it'll be held up in false dichotomy. That's all they ever do. Well, here's my model. Now let's have a versus match with your model, and we'll see which one wins, and the winner is our reality. What a load of crap! Both are reification fallacies. We don't live on a flat plain pancake with lights above it, under a dome. We don't. That's not the world we live in. We don't live in a sphere flying through a sky vacuum. So neither model's correct. To hold them up in false dichotomy and say one of which has got to be correct, whichever matches best is going to be our world. Oh, well, the sphere matches best, therefore we're standing on a bloody sphere, and people are antipodal to us in Australia. No, it's just horseshit. But that doesn't mean that the flat earth model, if you say, well, no, this works better, because the military have now given us a really accurate map, we've managed to piece together all the scraps they gave us, and now look, we stick a little light above that, and it seems to go in a circle correctly. All right, so that makes it 2,000 miles away, does it? Or 3,000, or whatever they say it is, on whatever day they've chosen to make the measurements to something they don't know what it is. So none of it makes any sense to me when people reify these models.
And there's even other possibilities. You know, it's all a projection. The map is a projection. There's still things to be figured out with absolute certainty to even know the orientation of the whole realm. Like, is the equator, which is basically derived from sun angles, you know, over the surface, is the equator line, is it a straight line? Is it an arc? Or is it a circle? Now, this is critical to understand the very nature of the map we're looking at. So this is something that, yeah, until we figure this one out perfectly, it's all just guesswork, pretty much.
What equator?
The equator line, where the equator is supposed to be.
Would there be an equator line if there wasn't a globe model that's been reified?
What?
You can still
No,
derive the same thing.
There is an equator line, definitely.
No, there isn't. There's no such thing as an equator line. It's a derived value based on the movement of those celestial bodies. It's not a line, but you could derive that movement of that body and arbitrarily mark a line on the ground based on its path on any map you like. It makes sod all difference. The fact that they then derive that out as being the centre point, if you side on 90 degrees to the northern point that's looking up at Polaris on their sphere model, doesn't mean that you're side on to looking up at Polaris on the top if you're at the North Pole in reality. That's just a way of mapping things. But hello, Quantum Eraser.
Yeah, my point is what this derived conceptual line from specific angular positions of the heavenly bodies is very persistent always. So that persistence is the anchor we got to go on. Is it geometrically a literal line? Is it an arc or is it a circle? What is that location? What is that? What is the orientation of it really? To figure out what is the realm like.
I don't bloody know.
I don't know either, but
right.
I figured a way out to figure it out eventually.
Yeah, surely it can be known, can it not? With the right amount of investigation and genuine research.
Right on. Isn't that exciting?
Yes.
That's exactly it, right?
Yes.
That's the attitude.
Right.
You started this conversation by asking us when we will have a model of it. And I'm like, oh, who cares? But that doesn't change the fact that, well, you could have a really good look at it, try and figure it out. Yeah, isn't that exciting? Wow.
It is.
Yeah.
And the great advantage, too, of this equator piece of knowledge, this key knowledge, is it's the equator. You're allowed to go there. You know, the Arctic, you're not even supposed to go there. But the equator is officially not a problem, so we can practically eventually figure this out.
It's not even a place. It's not even a place. I've been on the equator. Wowee. It's not a place.
You know what I mean? Come on.
Look, in winter time, the sun is setting lower on my horizon. In summertime, it's much higher. It has a circuit. It allows for the seasons. That's what I know. I don't bring an equator to that.
I'm just talking about the realm's orientation, the geometrical orientation, other than the flat factor, which is definitely there.
Well, I'm just specifying the movement of the luminaries that are consistent with the seasons, and of the 12 months we have, the same thing each year all the time.
Yes, I know. And that's
So I'm
why
just talking about the luminaries, not the surface it's shining on.
Right, which is where that's been derived from in the first instance. That's the point.
I just want to know the literal geometrical orientation of the land masses. And the only thing we even have to go by are maps, which are based on the celestial bodies. So yes, that's why I'm just saying the equator line, what is it? How does it orient over the flat Earth realm?
Sure. What is the sun, Arwin?
Well, maybe we'll get to that at another point. It's probably a little bit more difficult to figure that one out.
Right, but it's been derived from that.
The sun? No.
The
No.
equator.
It's just, right, no, the sun angle position. Yes, the sky clock. The orientation, the map is been derived from the sky clock, definitely.
Well, the azimuthal equidistant projection certainly seems to have been derived from the sky clock. It's out compared to time and date when we tested that. But nevertheless, there are many different ways of projecting out what has obviously been taken from a flat plane, wrapped around a sphere, and then projected onto flat maps. But that makes them all completely wrong. That's why none of them are accurate. And we're never going to scrap them. We're never going to get the scraps of it to piece together.
Well, that depends. If you take each piece of land and ocean bottom and then connect them together and just literally measure it almost literally with a ruler or a laser to see how the sky clock orients itself at this specific latitude, the equator, and just see when you move over that virtual line, are you literally moving in a circle over the realm, the literal circle, or actually not a literal circle, partial circle, or even a straight line, which would be very weird, you know? But that is very important to understand the orientation.
Can we look at the two pictures I just posted up at Masturbate?
New iPad that's hopefully coming any day has got a LiDAR scanner on it, which is what the STS missions claim to be doing, i.e. scanning the ground with LiDAR. So with enough iPad Pros, maybe your dream will become a reality. Right, we've got the analemma. Is that what you wanted me to put up?
Well, I mean, here's two pictures, and one of them's got the actual dates to it. So your luminary, where they are each year at the same time overhead. So what does that tell me about the surface? It doesn't tell me anything about the surface. Just tells me where they are each year based on the circuit that it runs. Like I said, it seems to be lower in the wintertime based on my horizon view, and seems to be much higher in the summertime based on my horizon view.
Very good.
It doesn't tell me anything about what I'm on.
Oh, but you can infer away, can't you?
Well, if I had a lot of money and the right technical instrumentation and one of these icebreaker ships that can go 10,000 miles without refueling, I might come back with something, but I don't have that.
What would you be looking for, though? We're talking about the celestial bodies. What makes
Ice ball.
No, I would just go south and see what happens, and then see what I hit.
He'd run into the ice wall.
Oh,
yeah, then I'd make...
What ice wall?
Then I'd make a...
Hold on. Why are you piping up with this? Are you just trying to put me in a bad mood?
It was my ship that I don't have.
Hold on, he's just trying to... Is that just to get my goat? Is that all that was?
I was just reifying my ship that I can't afford. And I got
QE. What ice wall?
He's eating.
Got the Kosho silence out of him.
So if I had that ship, I'll just go south until whatever, and then I either have to make a right turn or a left turn, and then I experiment and check and whatever. I can't do that, so I have to take their view of it. It doesn't make sense.
Well, I think that's what's somewhat disappointing is that all of the money and all of the properly organized authorities, they think that all of this stuff is already settled. So there isn't any genuine financially backed research happening into any of this, except, people in the corners of the internet.
Right. Cue the clip of Truman Show when he's in school. He says, "I want to be an explorer." And she pulls down a roller with a map of the world on it and says, "It's all been explored. It's all been figured out. Nothing left to do."
Well, there's one thing they are doing, according to the reports, if they're true, they are preventing people from doing some of these things, like the one sailor that got turned back twice and arrested that I read, and the Antarctic Treaty, as stiff as it is, and the cost, and they only let you visit the outer edges of the so-called continent. So why don't you just let people travel the oceans of the world and don't arrest them if they go somewhere you don't want them to go?
That said, it gives me an opportunity to plug my most popular video, which is called Confessions of an Antarctic Plumber, which is a fairly old interview now with Robert Shortman, who spent 18 months down in Antarctica as a plumber, surprisingly. And he gave us some very funny stories about some of the rules that they broke, and burning pallets and getting the temperature too high and making insects come out of the woodwork, quite literally, and things like that. Just blatant disregard for some of the Greenpeace rules or whatever they were supposed to be abiding by, because they wanted to be a bit warmer some of the days. Who can blame them? Nevertheless, it was quite an amusing bunch of stories. The main thing I took away from his explanation was there is no 24-hour sun down there, which it's claimed and must be necessitated if you're on a spinning ball flying through a sky vacuum. And it just simply isn't the case. There isn't a 24-hour sun down there, according to first-hand testimony from someone who spent 18 months in the Antarctic, 12 months consecutively, and then another 6 months, I think it was prior, as an acclimatisation exercise. So, as I say, check it out. Robert Shortman's interview with myself on it's Mechanics of the Fourth Wall, myself and Antonio Subarats. It's called Confessions of an Antarctic Plumber. So check it out. It's a couple of hours long, good, solid interview with him telling all of the details you'd ever want to know about what it's like in Antarctica. Flying around, even took control of a plane at one stage. Naughty though that was, but he just explained what he was doing down there and his business that he had down there and what sort of went on. So check it out. So what ice wall?
Well, there's probably an ice wall somewhere.
Oh yeah. Why is that then, Arwin?
I've seen it. But who knows if it is still there or, what it is like. It could be just a straight ice wall. It could be a circle encircling our disk Earth or whatever. I don't know. I don't know what the ice wall is like. I don't know if it is even... there might be gaps in it and they just didn't tell us,
Right, so we're immediately...
No, we don't know
Hold on. We're immediately into begging the question, you don't know what the ice wall is like. What ice wall?
Well, the one that I've seen pictures of.
Oh yeah? And how big was that?
Well, it seemed very large, but it's only going to be maybe 100 miles.
Give it me in miles.
100 miles at best.
Ooh, so from a 100-mile photograph of what you think is an ice wall, you think there's a 74,000-mile ice wall surrounding us in all directions? Wow, that's a big jump.
It is. So that's why I'm not per default accepting such a presupposition. But it could be a possibility. I don't know.
I've seen pictures.
Well, I guess something's got to be keeping the oceans in.
Sorry, we've got another contender. Something's got to be keeping the ice ring at the oceans in. Did you say?
Yeah.
Okay, so in my bathroom right now, I've got a bathtub, and that can keep in water. I've seen pools that are made of tile; they can keep in water. I've seen ponds that are held in by dirt. So why has it got to be an ice wall exactly?
Well, that's what I was trying to say.
Not you, 10th man. Hold on. Why has it got to be an ice wall again?
I guess it doesn't have to be, but wouldn't you have to assume that has to be some sort of container?
Container, container, yeah. Water needs to be contained. Ice wall, you say?
It could also be contained by a looping nature of the realm.
What the hell are you piping up for with your looping nonsense, Arwin? Look, let's just nip this in the bud before we end the live show and ask everyone to stick around if they're on the Nathan Oakley channel. The assumption of an ice wall is based on this azimuthal equidistant projection of a sphere Earth onto a flat map, projected out from the North Pole, giving the Antarctic region the impression of being all around us in all directions. Now, am I saying it's not? No. Am I saying it is? Absolutely not. But to just assume that there is an ice wall, like this presupposition of this ring of ice all around us in all directions, is somehow tenable for any reason beyond people seeing a little stretch of ice somewhere, is just preposterous as far as I'm concerned. But it seems that there's plenty of people on our own side of the argument who will automatically assume we've got a bloody ice wall. It's like, oh, really? Fill me in.
Well, they originally suggested, when they even started presenting it, that it was like a disc of ice, an island with a large chunk of ice on it. And then I think that flat earthers just naturally reversed that as a first response, saying, oh, no, wait, it's the other way around. That falls into the reversed world type of thinking. So then we must be surrounded by ice, a wall. It was kind of a natural response that was bound to happen anyway.
Oh,
it doesn't make it true, though.
Oh, yeah. If I hadn't been shown, told, and had it inferred that there's an ice wall, I'd have just come to that of my own volition. Of course, it's so natural. With that, I'll say, if you are watching this on the Nathan Oakley premiering stream, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you are watching this live on the Nathan Oakley 1980 stream, then this is where we bid you farewell. A huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G Plus panels for making this live show possible. Of course, a massive thank you to all of you in the live audience for smashing the super chat, hopefully commenting, sharing, subscribing, liking, all that good stuff. Once again, stay tuned if you're watching on the Nathan Oakley premiering stream, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Get rid of your analemma.
Oh, man, you didn't let me finish. You still have 1 minute.
Oh, I'm sorry, 10th. Arwin, blame him.
No, I was going to say I was watching a YouTube video on Oxygen number 4 by Jean-Michel Jarre. You familiar with him?
Go on.
Anyway, so he was a synthesizer guy back in the day, and like at the same time Giorgio Moroder was doing the synthesizer. It was getting, I guess it was 70s, something like that. And they had some beautiful pictures, and I'm taking some stills here. I'll put in Master B. And yeah, there's ice. If this is Antarctica, there's ice, but there's also land and mountains right up to the sea. So it could be just cold and ice builds up, but it could be just land that's holding everything back.
It could be.
I mean, I don't know. I
Next time,
I didn't take these pictures.
Why is it being held back?
Quantum Eraser says,
hold on, that's the next. Hold
ice
on,
wall.
10th man's just introduced
Sorry,
a new
go.
issue. Yes, the water does need to be contained. Why
That's
would
all
it
I'm
be?
saying.
Why would it be contained within our local vicinity, within the map that we've been told we have? Why would it be the case that somehow all of that specific water, in other words, all the water we happen to know about, why is that all being contained around our local vicinity? Any particular reason for that particular containment field that we've decided to arbitrarily place around ourselves? Any particular reason for that?
No, I'm not even relating it to that. That's not even in the context of what I'm trying to say. I'm just saying
it could be held in by other stuff, but we've still got it being held in around us, right?
I'm not even referencing that. I'm just showing pictures of supposed Antarctica, and I see more mountain and land than I do ice wall.
I've not got anything from you in Master B.
No, I'm just taking pictures right now. I mean,
okay.
It's just so I'll just post it in a minute. But all these penguins, and these beautiful. I mean, these are clear shots if it's the place that they say it is.
I'm jumping on you because the whole, whatever the word would be, reverting to making up shit university, it just drives me nuts. You know, we get fooled.
What claim am I making?
I'm not having a go at you specifically anymore. I'm just saying in general, people will go to the, well, that seems like a logical conclusion, therefore let's just go with that from now on kind of approach. And in terms of our geography, all bets are off as far as I'm concerned. You know, there's no assertions of ice walls or water being contained in or domes or any of this stuff. Now, don't get me wrong, I can appreciate people who've got their religious interpretations of their texts, and that's fine by me. They can make their assertions. I'm not going to stop them. Believe whatever you like. But in terms of what's actually been demonstrated and what the world is actually going to be, I don't want to personally make any assumptions. So, you know, the idea that it's an infinite plane, well, that goes as far as I'm concerned. The idea that there could be many other ponds, yeah, that's definitely a possibility. The idea that we could be closed in, yeah, that's also a possibility. Dome, yeah, possibility. Sphere, no. Beyond geometric certitude, definitely not a sphere. That's it.
All right, it's up there.
Yeah, well, that's a good stance to take, Nathan. Technically, I do that too.
Okay, I just posted these still shots from the video.
I got them. Thank you.
All right, so let me just round out what I was doing. What I was doing was beginning of flat Earth. All they did was show these 200-foot ice walls. But then when I see stuff like this, I'm saying, wait a minute, okay, that's fine. There could be 200-foot ice walls at a certain part, I guess. But how come you don't show all this stuff, like these mountains coming right to the ocean and landmass? I mean, I like to see the variety of things that it could be holding in the water. Now, my personal stance is that the Creator created this plane that we live on, and it functions according to how Genesis teaches it. But that's just my own personal faith and belief in the veracity of the Bible. But my claim here is not that. My claim here is you can have mountains and landmass holding back water just as well as ice wall.
Got the one that's got a nice, perfect reflection.
Oh, that's gorgeous, isn't it?
It's very pretty.
I think the next time somebody comes off mute and says ice wall and goes back on mute, you should say evolution.
When someone no one in particular.
he who shall not be named.
Evolution. It's very, very rigorously defined, I think you'll find.
Check 1 2 1 2. Is my microphone working? You hear me okay?
Yes, we hear you, whoever that is.
Excellent. So I see you got Kosho in here. Have you managed to convince or show that the Earth is not a globe?
The evangelist is here. Convince, you say? That's never going to happen with these fundies. Chocolate. Kosho. Kosho. I'll get there in the end. Spurs.
Chocolate Kosho?
What Kosho? What's the problem? I mean, we've got very good. What's preventing you? What's stopping you? Why are you still a globe earther?
I love Spurs.
Yeah, me too.
The Spurs schema has been my friend for a long time, and I think
that's why I want you to be honest with me, buddy. I want you to explain,
I know, that's what I'm about to
I want you
do.
to explain why you still believe in this globe. What's going on?
I think it's time, Kimo.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm ready to come over.
You ready to concede that we've been lied to about the shape of the Earth, yeah?
I must have been. Yeah.
So what do you think of this black swan?
Honestly, it's a black swan that's really did me over. I can't explain it. It confuses me.
What is the argument that John and Nathan and myself and 10th Man and Chocolate put forward? What is that argument? Do you understand what it is?
Yeah, something about P's and Q's.
Mm-hmm. What about?
To be honest with you, it's all over my head. I don't really get the stuff, you know.
You don't get what exactly?
Like there's arguments. I pretend I come on here and I go to Google. I read a couple stuff, and I just.
Well, how big's the ball? What's the
make it up.
circumference of the globe?
Radius.
I don't know. Is that like the equator?
Yeah. Well, what's the circumference around the equator? Yeah.
Someone's telling me 40,000 meters, 40,000 kilometers, I think.
What? Do you believe that, or what's your position on that?
I honestly don't know.
Well, that's all right then. Yeah, that's fine. So yeah, Nathan, well done. I mean, we think we've got him there. He doesn't really have an explanation for the globe here, and I think a lot of them are struggling like this. But Kosho is obviously taking a step.
Spurs, when you came on yesterday in 24/7, and I think somebody asked you how are the Globers doing, you said something very funny. You said, "Well, it seems like they've just given up." And you know what? What Kosho just sounded like just now kind of sounds like that. Kind of sounds like they just
That's
gave
the
up.
mood, yeah.
No
That's the mood. It's
enthusiasm,
like, oh,
no direct answers. Just like, oh yeah, here we are again. I don't know. I just Google stuff. That's pretty sad, Kosho. You sound like a young guy. You should, put a little more pep in your step. Either that or give up the globe that you can't defend anymore. I don't get it.
Pep in your step. You sounded like a young man till about 20 seconds ago.
Yep. Well,
Boomer advice.
nah, I'm not a boomer.
Just kidding.
But yeah, Kosho, man, what happened?
Someone call me?
That's pretty much that's pretty much the feeling. I did warn them about a month ago. I said they're going to be absolutely sick of this argument. They're going to despise flat earthers for this argument. And you've heard Kosho. He's very stressed. He's like, oh, what to do? That's pretty much what they're like right now.
Doesn't that seem weird to you? Doesn't that seem weird to you, Spurs? Doesn't that seem a bit odd to you, Spurs, that somebody could hate another person because of a logical consistency argument? Doesn't that seem weird to you?
Yeah, but I understand it. Because you're taking something away and not replacing it. And they seem to think that we're responsible for giving them something, which we're not. We're only here to show it on a globe. So, yeah, I mean, it's kind of strange that they're going to hate. I mean, they'll hate the person, they hate the argument, they despise all of it. The whole thing, because it shuts the argument down pretty quick.
So, Spurs, if I give them the truth, that's not enough? I got to give them something else?
No, but they didn't think it was going to be this quick. I didn't imagine it would be this quick. I mean, they've been saying, oh, where's this one piece of shining evidence or proof that we're not on the globe? And, well, we have it now. And
gas pressure without...
I don't think they were ready for it.
I could start with gas pressure. Well, how about gas pressure without...
Let's remember this.
Hold on. Hold on. There's a top three. Right, this is the top three. Dun, 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 dun. And at number 3, it's Coriolis effect. If Earth's spinning, there must be a deviation, and there isn't. Dun 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 dun. And in at number 2, it's gas pressure without a container. If the sky was a vacuum, the gas we're breathing would fill the space. Dun 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 dun. And in at number 1, a new entry. It's the Black Swan. If the Earth is a sphere with a radius of 3959 miles, then every distance to horizon must be no more than 1.22 times the square root of the surface height in feet. The Black Swan shows a distance to horizon way in excess of 10 miles. Therefore, the Earth is not a sphere. Dun 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 dun.
I love it.
Well, Kosho got 3 things there.
And that's why, that's where the despise will come from, is that we're celebrating, we're so confident now, and we're so happy. We have a reason to be happy. And that's one thing that they don't want. They don't want happy flat earthers knowing what they're talking about.
Spurs, are
yeah, they want to be able to humiliate us. They want to be able to humiliate us with their intellectual prowess and total knowledge and understanding and confidence in the world they know is a spherical one. And then we come along and show them it isn't. That's the last thing they want, Spurs. Of course.
Absolutely.
Nathan, hang on, Nathan. The way Spurs was just talking, I had an image that I was laying down on the consulting couch, and Spurs was the psychologist. And he's trying to tell me, okay, you won, the earth is flat, but take it easy on them. Now, well, you have a reason to be happy, but please have some chemotherapy for these people. I mean, I'm dying over here, Spurs.
Yeah. Well, I think they've needed me now more than ever because I have been warning them. I have been guiding them.
You are the flat earth evangelist. On the one hand, you're taking away, but on the other hand, you're very giving. They can kiss your ring after you give them what they need.
But yeah,
Spurs, classic.
it is one of the hardest things to accept. I mean, we've seen George; he's kind of left the scene. He's recognised early on what this black swan is all about. The calculations, the geometry is gone. They don't have that. We don't have any measurements. They're still deciding, which is interesting.
God.
I think amongst themselves.
I can't tolerate that. Spurs. Stop. Right, you've just thrown out a baseless assertion. Now, while I appreciate that's their tactics, so Anthony goes on holiday for a fortnight. And, well, Anthony's left because of this Isle of Man discussion going their way, so he's left the scene. No, you've just made that shit up. So have you got anything to qualify that George Netting has left as a direct result of the black swan and the geometry being debunked?
George is constantly saying to us in the community, I've had enough. There's no point talking to them. Why do we talk to them? It's useless. They don't listen. So this is basically George, for me, giving up. Maybe not. Maybe he may return. Obviously, like to see George back again and try and prove that we live on a spinning ball. But for me, this is a man who has given up. He's tried. He's done his level very best. And that's where we are right now.
It's fine. As long as you preface it with this is my interpretation as opposed to George is gone because of the black swan. It's just try and keep it to actual facts or opinions that you make clear are your opinions.
Yeah, my opinion. I mean, I don't know for a fact what's happened to George. But yeah, having conversations with George, he's exhausted. This argument, this question is exhausting. You've just heard Kosher, a young man, healthy, and he's not prepared to go back and forth over this black swan. Now, George, who has equations like Rumpus, is going to be very stressed, I feel. So, yeah, it may not be, but I feel George has had his day.
How come it's not exhausting to me? Why are you saying this thing is exhausting?
Because we're winning 10th.
I don't feel exhausted
you should really
at all.
see the ball out. I mean, it's the way they describe how we don't understand refraction. We don't understand what's going on. There's a serious issue going on here. So people are recognizing it and they're walking away. I've always said Mr. Scott has to go down with the ship regardless. So he will argue it till the final bubble breath, whatever you want to call it. But Kosho, he's recognizing he doesn't have to go down with the ship, right? He can absolutely recognize.
Spurs, slow down.
Hold on, Spurs. I think 10th man's trying to get a word in. Go ahead, 10th.
Okay, Spurs, you said something, then you ran off like Niagara Falls. I mean, come on. One subject at a time, or else I might get exhausted. You never know. Anyway, said that refraction and what they don't understand, or they say we don't understand refraction. Well, we can just go look at the definition from their subject matter expert and other definitions that support what that word means. And if we're not going to agree on the definition of the word, then there's no reason to get exhausted or talk to that person anymore, because you can't come to terms on what a word means. So you got to have an understanding of what the word means, so that we are held to task by the boundaries of that definition of that word. So if someone isn't willing to correctly define refraction, there's no need to talk to them anymore, because you're just wasting your time.
Doesn't Andrew Thomas Young describe refraction as literally meaning broken back? Or broken?
Yeah, I'd have to go through. I've been reading a page of his writings each day for the last 2 months, I think, but I can't.
Yeah, if you go back to the first, I think it's in the first paragraph of the page called refraction. He tells you the meaning of it is literally broken. So to me, when I hear them say, "Oh, refraction," yeah, broken. Your model is broken.
No, not broken. Broken lines, as in deviating from straight. Deviating from straight.
Broken.
Metaphorically breaking their model when they're using tangents, yes.
Yeah. It's kind of metaphorical, but yeah. It's when I see him say that, and to me it's funny because that's the only response they have is refraction.
I mean, but for the glober,
but they say
from their
refraction
perspective,
is
in their worldview, the Earth is a ball.
gosh.
So, if we're saying because I was talking with Brenda, and I do talk with Kosher, I do talk with the book, and they're trying to think, well, what's the obstruction? Because Sheeple yesterday was showing a mountain, it was obstructed by the horizon. So he's saying, well, what is causing that obstruction? So I think they're trying to figure out, well, if it's not the Earth, how is the bottom of an object or something obstructed? And to them, well, that's a physical obstruction. So I went back and forth with, like I say, with Brenda, and they're really confused on this question. So
yeah, no shit.
I mean, hold on. So Kosho, look, for example, Kosho, when something is obstructed at the bottom, is that physical or is that just refracted light?
There is an effect with it.
I don't know. It's
no, just be honest. Say what the ballers say. If a mountain is obstructed at the bottom, what is that? Is that the Earth or is that light? Or what is it?
I think they say it's the horizon.
They say
physical curve.
So it's
they say
physical
who's they?
Earth,
hold
right?
on. There's some detachment going on. They say. You mean you say?
No, he's conceded, Nathan. We've got him. No? You're not happy with the concession?
I don't believe that for 1 second.
I know,
I mean, it's compelling stuff. You guys
are you
have.
playing silly beggars, Kosher? What's the argument? What are we saying? Come on.
Well, usually they say it's the curve and it's a physical curve, and
but even this, Nathan, for me, shows how difficult it is. You know, he wants to be a flat earther, but he doesn't. He's just even joking with it. He's deciding, what do I do? Do I explain it seriously? Do I explain it jokingly? Go back to the ball earth and say, oh yeah, I went over there and I was joking. I was like a flat earther. And then when he's asked over there again, well, Kosher, what is it? Is it physical? So for me, even what he's doing right now is showing the struggle to comprehend what's going on. Because if you've got ball in your mind, you have to think, well, if they've lied about this, I have to think about this, and this. That's just too much for a person. So that's why he won't even answer it right now. He doesn't know what to do. It's not his fault. I believe it's not his fault.
Spurs.
This is indoctrination.
Spurs.
Hold on. It's the 5 stages of loss. This would be the depression stage.
Right. Misery, yeah. He's miserable now. He's like, what do I do? Do I do this? Do I do that? That's why I can't really have
real
it going
quick.
because he's struggling.
Spurs, real quick. I want to take you back to the. If you look at the definition of Black Swan itself, right?
I won't say he's struggling.
Hello, am I talking?
Yeah, go on, Chocolate.
Hello.
I hear you, Chocolate.
Go ahead,
but
Chocolate.
2 people are talking.
Right. Well, I just wanted to say, if you go, I've pointed this out before, and it's funny to me. If you go to the definition of Black Swan, the second definition of it is an unpredictable or unforeseen event, typically one with extreme consequences. Now, I think this came more true than anybody thought that it was going to be, because this was an unpredictable event for the ballers, right? They didn't see this coming. They didn't know this was going to happen. And typically one with extreme consequences, well, they are literally denying their own geometry. They have literally changed their arguments into our arguments and saying the horizon is now apparent, right? That's an extreme consequence of this argument. So this Black Swan, it really is their Black Plague. And this is why Kosho sounds the way he does. This is why they probably all sound like this as soon as they hear Black Swan, because they understand this is a wrap for them.
Isn't that now he accepts that it's well, it might be flat? Isn't that a good thing? He's changed his mind. Nothing wrong with changing your mind if you now know the truth. So that's fine.
Yeah.
Well,
welcome
if he says that, that will be one thing. But I don't think you'll ever hear him actually say that. But I'm not divining his thoughts. So, Kosho, go ahead.
Yeah. What is it, Kosho?
Well, I'm making breakfast for my sister, but I mean, you guys have a compelling argument, right? I mean, I have nothing to say.
Are you?
I'm gonna listen.
Are you asking us or telling us?
I think he's telling us.
Oh,
what's for breakfast? Ice
Isn't
wall
the
soup.
geometric horizon apparent?
Hey, any more questions for
evolution
Kosho?
breakfast.
I'm on 10 ticks here. I'm waiting to read something out.
Okay, Kosho. Kosho. Is it flat or spherical? What is it?
The omelet? I'm making my sister an omelet.
Excellent. Kosho, right.
Kosho, you're a prick.
That deserves a prize. That definitely deserves a prize.
That was good.
That was excellent.
That was a scrambled answer for sure.
That was the best deflection I've ever heard.
What, the omelet? What about the ice wall soup?
About evolution cereal.
Is it served cold?
Right, I'm just going to read out the 5 stages of loss. And then if anybody's interested or it sparks a conversation, I'll read out some of the definitions. So the first stage is denial and isolation. Second stage is anger. Third stage is bargaining. Fourth stage is depression. And the final stage, acceptance. In my humble opinion, the last, 5 years would be called the bargaining stage. Now, obviously, the people who come here had already denied and isolated themselves to the internet chat rooms that are discussing this subject. No, of course it's not flat. We all know the Earth is a sphere. Then they get very angry with us and start projecting their own anger onto us. But then they get into discussing it, trying to rationalise for themselves that they're still correct. Bargaining. Debating, you could call it. Now the debate is over. So what's left? Well, depression. For those who've realised it already, the argument is untenable. There is no going forward. You can't trust Dinar anymore. Well, they're going to be getting very depressed over the coming months. And then finally, acceptance. Yeah, it is flat. We were lied to. Earth was never a sphere. That argument's completely untenable. We don't live in Muppet vision. We do have perspective. Yeah, optics. No, we don't have a geometric horizon. Just don't say it with a hand wave like it's a justification for not having a geometric horizon. But depression and acceptance is all that faces these people. For us, we're already accepting it, moving on, and happy with the life that we've got.
Nathan, can I segue with chocolate's refraction?
Segue or deviate from straight.
Demonstrate another segue to another part of Andrew Thomas Young. It's in Master B, the full page, as well as a highlighted screenshot of the part I'm reading. Let me know when it's up.
And while you're at that, Tenth, I posted the little part I was talking about in Ballbusters.
I saw it. Yeah, I saw it. Yeah.
Copy that.
Yeah, it's on screen.
Okay. So this is off of the page that's also listed there, so you can read the whole thing in context. But this is interesting. I like to get some feedback on this statement. Finally, the goal of representing refraction accurately from the zenith to the horizon is illusory. On the observational side, refraction cannot be measured accurately near the horizon. And from a practical point of view, the near horizontal refraction is so sensitive to the structure of the lowest atmospheric layers, which are highly variable, that it is pointless to try to represent refraction at low altitudes accurately at all. In fact, thermal structure too small to measure directly can produce quite large variations in near horizontal refraction. So the tables and formula based on mean atmospheric models are not only useless, but deceptive. Refraction at the horizon commonly varies by many minutes of arc and occasionally exceeds nominal values by a degree or more. Therefore, this page will attempt to lay out basic physics, clearly show why some simple approximations are very good in the region where astronomical observations, particularly positional measurements, are usually made, and explain why refraction near the horizon is so variable and so different from its behavior over most of the sky. The approach is necessarily quite different from the standard textbook treatments.
Right.
What did he just say? What did he just say about refraction? Could it be trustworthy?
Well,
Nope.
I think you're a very good reader.
I particularly like the bit about positional measurements when they're
Like
specifically
oil platforms?
or geometric horizons.
Wake up, ballers.
Hey everybody.
Hello. Who's that?
Hey Nathan, it's Brian.
Oh, hi, Brian.
How are things?
Very well.
Good.
Life's pretty sweet at the moment, I would say.
I like the part that says, I mean, the first sentence, the goal of representing refraction accurately from the zenith to the horizon is illusory. Illusory, really? So it's an illusion to be able to calculate refraction accurately? That's what I heard.
You heard right.
And what he says, I can't remember the exact verbatim, but what he says about it being close to the surface, not trustworthy close to the surface or something like that, which would be how high off the surface would that be?
Very
close to the surface, 20 foot, 30 foot.
Well, let me tell you something and then finish up. This might help you. When I was studying how the sextant works over the ocean with navigators, they say don't point to a luminary less than 15 degrees on the horizon. Make sure it's above 15 and up to your zenith because of the magnification and the craziness that happens at the lower levels of the horizon. Go on, Brian.
What would that be in feet? 15 degrees. That'd be pretty high. You're talking about 15 degrees in feet?
Can't qualify it.
Well, they're saying you can't qualify. Just basically, you don't want to measure in something that's being, how could I put it, messed up by magnification, fata morganas, inferior mirages, those things. Just stay above those things.
Okay. I have something small to present. I don't know if it is a black swan. I sent it to QE. I think he's down now. I sent it to him earlier, and I'll have some details on it. I'll send later. I might just present it, and you can tell me what you think of it. If it's okay with you, Nathan.
Is the horizon?
Doesn't have to be today.
Okay. Is the horizon above the target, like in the oil platforms? That's my first question.
In the photograph I have, it's behind the demarcation point.
If in that case, the best person to send it to is Heath Carmody. He's neutral. He's one of the few people I'd actually call neutral in this discussion. And he's developed a swanulator. Did anybody see his video? I mirrored one of his videos with his black swan capture and told people to subscribe to him. I don't know if they actually did. But his most recent video was to explain that he's figured out a way of calculating the angle so he can calculate the distance to horizon based on any black swan images he's provided with. So what I'd suggest is drop Heath Carmody a line and say, please can you run this through your swanulator? But if you want to present it here, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a black swan. It is a black swan, but my problem is that the camera I had wasn't good. So it's just a case of basically I want some feedback on whether it's clear enough to be called a black swan.
Okay, let's have a look.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Let's have a look. Worth a look.
Okay, 1 second. Let me go and share screen.
Wait, Nathan, did you call it a swanulator?
Correct.
It's classic.
Nice.
I'll dig it out.
That's
While you're doing that,
I
Brian,
thought you were crazy.
I'll go and see if I can dig out Heath Carmody's video while you're doing that, and I'll present it.
No. Okay.
Okay. Let me know.
Let me know when you can.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay. So this is in the distance here. I have a little red circle here. This is a place called Hook Lighthouse. It's 8.08 miles away from where I was. I was in a place called Arthurstown Pier in County Wexford, here in Ireland. Hook Lighthouse is easy to find. It's the oldest operational lighthouse in the world. It's over 300 years old and it still works. The demarcation point here is this jutting out piece of land. That's 4.41 miles from me, from where I am as an observer. I'm 8 foot above the height of the water, and the horizon is behind the demarcation point. For 8 foot, Globert's geometric horizon prediction for 8 foot observer height is 3.46 miles. The lighthouse is 8.08 miles, and the demarcation point is 4.41 miles. So the demarcation point itself is about a mile past what would be the Globert's prediction, and the horizon is past that again. Now, I believe the horizon is actually past where 8.08 miles is, past where the lighthouse is. But I just don't. My camera just wasn't good enough. It's just an iPhone 5 I had. My camera just wasn't good enough. I have some videos and stuff on it, so I'll send them to QE later, and I'll contact Pete Carmody too. But what do you think?
Anybody got any opinions?
I can't see it all that well. If the horizon's behind that piece of land jutting out, then it's a black swan.
Yeah, it is behind it. It's just a case of my camera wasn't very good, so that's basically what was going against me. I have another one again that I took from the Hook Lighthouse here across this way, which is further, but same problem again.
Hey Brian, you can't claim that the horizon's behind it, but your camera couldn't pick it out, because that just sounds like them when they say there is an apparent horizon, you just can't see it.
Well, what I say is can't pick it out. It's just it depends on what people's interpretation of it is. This piece of land here comes down here. If you can see the arrow, it comes down here, and that's it behind there. This is the water's edge over here at the base of this, and this is the horizon behind that. It actually comes down here, kind of nearly like a big toe. But my camera wasn't very good, so I don't know whether it could be called, whether it could be used. It is a black swan, but I don't know whether it could be used.
Okay. What I'm going to do is
I posted. Sorry, Nathan. Go on.
No, go on. I thought you'd finished. Go ahead.
No, that was it. Yeah.
Okay. What I'll do is I'm going to stick Heath Carmody's video on, just make it look a bit more pretty. I'll do that once it's rolling. But just listen to what he says.
Here is my new tool, the pun counter. I'll be using it to help introduce my other new tool, which is mostly based on swan puns and math. I call it the Swanalizer. So how does it work, you ask? Well, it analyzes my speech for potential swan puns and keeps a tally of the good ones, only counting each unique pun once. Oh, you mean the Swanalizer? Oh, sorry. Okay, well, SOANS, pronounced swans, stands for Simplified Observation Analysis System. The Swanalizer is the first tool that is a part of Swans, but I will be adding more tools and features over time, and I'll be making the new features work better with my existing tools in case we want to go from a simple analysis to something more in-depth. The Swanalizer is a good starting point for people who are a little more swanal about their observations, but don't want to spend a bunch of time analyzing them. Here's how the Swanalizer works. First, it needs an image. This should be full frame uncropped from the original source. For now, only 1920 by 1080 images will work properly. HD video captures are perfect for this. Let's go ahead and capture a frame from my recent Black Swan video. I've added a Swanalize button to make it easier. What? It counts. Swanalizer and Swanalizer are different words. Oh, and I should mention that the Swanalizer is only really useful for observations where the horizon appears a visually significant amount higher than the closer land. Now we bring up the tool and load the image for proper Swanalysis. First, we have to give some minimal information about what we are looking at. We need to know the horizontal field of view of the image. This depends on the focal length or zoom level of the camera at the time of the observation. I'll do a video soon explaining how you can determine your camera's field of view at different zoom levels. And there are other ways of determining the field of view from the image if you don't know how far you are zoomed in. Also, if you are always zoomed in to the max optical zoom on your camera, without going into digital zoom at all, then it will always be the same field of view for all those shots, so you only need to figure it out once. My camera, for example, has a field of view of 0.8 degrees horizontal when at full 90 times zoom, which I generally only use for full zoom shots, so I don't have to calculate the field of view each time. The field of view is usually the hardest thing to determine. The rest is easy. Next, we input the distance to the closest land that we are seeing the water past, in meters. Then we input the distance to the most distant known target. This can be the horizon. If there's only one close target in a horizon, then you need to estimate the horizon distance. I'll explain how to best do that later, but in this case, I know the distance to the next shoreline, so I will enter that value.
Okay, I think that's probably enough of that. So you get the general idea. I'll stick a link if you're watching this on Nathan Oakley premiering stream, so you can go to his channel and actually subscribe, submit your own black swans if you've got them. Hopefully you'll do exactly that, Brian.
Thanks, Nathan. I'll do that, yeah, I'll send it on to him. Thank you.
Yeah, just one more plug.
Was he trying to take my pun kingdom away?
Yeah, I read between the lines, but I didn't mention it.
Oh no!
Obviously,
Oh no! Somebody shook up Gargamel. You know, they made swans into the new Smurfs.
I think if he's trying to take my pun kingdom away, it's a foul move, and he needs more talent.
Oh my god!
It's a big thing to do what I do.
A big thing.
Yes, Gargamel. But did that sound like, swans being the new Smurfs to anybody else there? I was just thinking in my mind, like if you replace the word swans and all the puns around it with Smurfs, it would be very Smurfy.
That's what they used to do with Smurfs, right? Everything was a Smurf something in Smurfland.
It was exactly. Sounded like a lark. It was Swanland. Arwen.
It sounds to me like the black swan is becoming a thing. It's becoming very, very hard for the Globers because this is a problem. People are coming up with swan calculators for you guys.
Yeah, it's dead. But meanwhile, submit your black swans to Heath Carmody and it'll calculate them for him. But it's dead, just so you know.
Yeah, and submit your puns to my channel, please.
I posted that in Master B if anyone wants to look at it anyway.
Yeah.
Independently.
I forgot to mention.
Do your own cooking tenth, man.
Sorry, thank you for presenting that, by the way, Brian. I forgot to thank you.
No worries, Nathan. I hope it's of some head. No worries. Thanks.
So my wife wants to watch this. Go on, Chocolate.
Thanks, Chocolate.
No problem.
I was going to say, my wife suggested that we watch the Simpsons movie. I said, why? And I hate doing this on a show, but nevertheless, we're in conversation. And it's topical. So there's been a few people that have highlighted links between the spread of disease and flat Earth. They've shown how the two things are often correlated together when put out in whatever you want to call it, propaganda, basically. And I pointed that out to her a couple of days ago, and then just out of the blue yesterday, she says, well, let's watch The Simpsons then. And I was like, well, why? She said, well, they're correlated together in that movie. I said, how so? She said, well, Eeper, and the dome. And I was like, oh, yeah. There's like a national disaster where they shut the country down in the Simpsons movie, and the resulting containment effort is to put a dome over Springfield, right?
Yeah, I remember that.
Just another interesting correlation between, the spread of infectious disease and flat Earth. Weird, hey?
Is that where we get the word? It's the domicile of that area.
Domicile? Yeah, I think so, actually.
They want to domesticate us.
They do, and this is a good time to round off the show.
It's amazing how obedient the normies are. I know the normies often get described as being like sheep. That's the metaphor people use. But TV says get back in your houses. Okay, bah.
So true. I was only saying to the lads the other day after the show on Friday that this will be a good thing for Flat Earth, because it might take 2 years, but it will show the whole world. Maybe if they get it, that is, it'll show the whole world just how naive they are and just how easily they can be fooled. So maybe their attitude towards Flat Earth will be a bit...
No way.
Sorry.
You're giving people too much credit. So you're operating, Brian, on a completely different level to normies. Let's be honest. So while you're thinking, well, that's, sort of subterranean level by comparison to convincing people that there is no geometric spheroid for a horizon, by comparison, that's like small potatoes, right? You've got to see it's really obvious how naive you're being here. Come on, you must appreciate that. Well, no. What would happen at that lower level is the same as would happen at the higher level. They'd just fight you and tell you you're stupid. Well, no, the TV's saying it. Why would they say it if it wasn't true? That's what you'd get. You get the base level. We used to get it a year or so ago when people weren't as familiar with the debates. And a normie would wander his way in and go, well, of course it's a globe. We've got pictures from space. And everybody for a brief moment has this like little cognitive break where they like can't believe there is. It's like, are you really asserting that NASA proves we're on a sphere? Are you so far back in the debate? Yeah, well, yeah. And most normies probably don't even appreciate that there is a debate in terms of the nature of their reality or the cosmology or whatever you want to phrase it as. Most people are blissfully unaware. So you say, even to the point where you say, you realise there's this thing called propaganda. They taught you about it in schools. Now, they don't overtly state that what they're telling you is propagandised, but it is, and they'll go, no, it isn't, it's all true, and fight you on it.
Nathan, as you were saying about the people being herded back into their homes like sheep, they probably, once they get in there, they go, yeah, now no one's going to pull the wool over my eyes now.
Yeah. Well, no, they make it their personal responsibility to tell everyone around them how they're not doing what they're doing.
Yeah, my hopes are a bit too high.
Pull the wool. Yeah, the wool.
Yeah, we got it.
Okay.
There's a lot of wool around when you're surrounded by sheep.
Hold on, Arwen's attempting a pun.
There's a lot of wool around when you're surrounded by sheep, to pull over your eyes.
Surrounded by what? An ice ball?
Oh, God, I was just about to round out the
show. Surrounded by evolution and ether.
Oh, I just looked it back to the beginning of the conversation and now ice walls again. Thanks.
So with that, I'd like to say that evolution is rigorously defined and... No nibble. Not even a nibble.
Or like rigorously deformed.
You're ruining my ending, Armin. With that, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who did tune in on the Nathan Oakley Premiering stream for hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. Another massive thank you to today's Discord and G Plus panels for making this after show possible. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!